Welcome everybody to the DC New 52 review. I want to thank you for tuning into another episode. I am your host as always, Paulie DC, and let's get into another one of these things. Today I will review Batman and Robin Volume 1. It was titled Born to Kill and it was written by Peter J. Tomasi with art by Patrick Gleason and Mick, with the first 8 issues being released between November 2011 to June of 2012. Now, obviously, I will discuss Batman when I review the Volume 1 of his solo series, so that leaves us with the other half of this titular duo, the only son to Bruce Wayne, Damian Wayne. The first glimpse DC comic readers got of him was in the 1987 story Batman, Son of the Demon by Mike W. Barr and Jerry Bingham. In its pages, Batman's jaded romance with Talia al Ghul, daughter to Ra's al Ghul, aka leader of the League of Assassins, one of the coolest factions DC has produced, came to a steamy conclusion with, at the time, an unnamed baby being the result. Grant Morrison and Andy Kubert took this plot thread and heavily expanded on it in what was called the Batman and Son arc, with Damian's first appearance in Batman number 655 in September 2006. Like this iteration, he's 10 years old and Bruce was unaware of his existence until Talia presented him to his father with a rather sinister plan behind it. Batman would end up quote-unquote dying anyway in the Batman R.I.P. story. The whole title would have been a total big-ass lie if he didn't. And afterward, in the Battle for the Cowl story, original Robin and Nightwing Dick Grayson took on Batman's mantle while Damian became the 5th person to be Robin. 6th if you want to include Carrie Kelly, who even makes an appearance in this series down the line. Within the New 52, Bruce is back as Batman, and this then creates the only father-son superhero team, so I think it's time we find out what that was all about. Issue number 1 starts in Russia with Batman Incorporated member, the Batman of Moscow, Ravil, out on patrol until ambushed and beaten unconscious by an invisible suit-wearing individual who calls himself Nobody. And later on, while dissolving Ravil in acid, poof, he makes it clear that he knows Batman is Bruce Wayne. Throwing some long bombs early here. Also, the opening art with the final knockout blow striking with the lightning, you knew you were going to be in for some visual treats. I'll be complimenting the art throughout. The next scene is fantastic in terms of setting up fresh things for the New 52 while still paying respect to the original Batman origin setup over the years, with Damian inserted into it all. He questions his father's, well, almost everything about his parents' death and his morbid attachment to it, which leads into them making a trip to the sewers where, at a certain location, Batman plans for new beginnings, since it's established early that he has not worked with his son in costume before. Their dialogue here as well, right from the get-go, is quite unique, having such different views on what they do, but they can't just separate since sharing blood. Their attentions are then called to Gotham University, where a group of goons that all have names starting with the letter R, since they all also have to remind each other of them, while stealing irradiated fuel from rods in a research reactor. Gotham. Not even trying to be safe anymore. Batman and Robin arrive to pummel some of the R-boys, but 3 of them get away in a gyro spear, so as Batman has to intricately save some people, Robin goes after them, with the result being 3 mangled corpses and a very pissed Batman. We also get the first look at Commish Gordon in this series, explaining why dangerous reactors are present, which doesn't make it any better, Gordo. Issue number 2 opens on Damian doing some training while Bruce speaks to Alfred about the night he was conceived and the ensuing training he did under Talia before practically being able to walk. Damian is later seen studying until his dad interrupts, but before he can be get out of my room, you didn't even knock, mentions of action has them back on the street. They take down a 4th gun-running shipment coming through the city, making quick work of the sellers, leaving them strung up for the cops, except Nobody then shows up to slit their throats. Back in the Batcave, Alfred has a chat with Bruce regarding how to be a better dad and the words he chooses with his son. I gotta say, the way Damien kills the Bat after his dad states he's a billionaire and not a trillionaire, so keep the equipment damage to a minimum, is an extremely dark metaphor. Lastly, we get our first look at Nobody in civilian attire when paying Bruce a visit while he adopts a dog in the countryside as a companion for Damien. He ends up calling him Morgan and immediately knows that he killed Raviel, which leads into threats and challenges being dropped before Morgan disappears with a simple party trick. Issue number 3 begins with Alfred whooping Damien's ass in a chess game, setting up a relationship that would become very special over the new 52, equipped with witty banter the entire time. Damien has become suspicious as to why the manor is being extra guarded with new tech, and next he's about to be left out of patrol for the 3rd night in a row. He of course goes out anyway, but not before Alfred sneaks a tracer onto him. He did learn from the best. Robin then finds a couple of muggers beating one into a pretty much a vegetable, and this is when Nobody makes his presence known to the young hero, claiming that he's been watching him. Robin discerns very quickly that this guy is the reason Batman has been on edge lately, and when he finishes off a mugger, Robin goes to attack but is halted by a special finger poke to the forehead move, leaving him temporarily paralyzed. Batman has found them, and my goodness, look at that double page art. Oh, and thank goodness he caught there when he did, because that was getting a little creepy with Nobody taking off Robin's mask all slow. Batman has the first of a couple vicious fights with Nobody until hit with an ultrasound attack and, ooh, then hit by a car due to stumbling onto a street. You'd think with the whole bat thing and how they hear, he'd have better ear protection. There's been countless jokes that have been made over the years on if he can even hear through his cowl. Anyway, the father and son duo wake up tied together in an old drive-in theater where Nobody has some light entertainment planned. Issue number 4 kicks off the home video that Nobody has made for Batman and Robin, involving arguments people have on the daily, the Bat Code, and his no-killing policy, which has garnered him his rogue gallery. Batman isn't about to waste his breath, but there is multiple mentions of someone named Ducard right before a bat plane crashes the scene thanks to a special tracker Batman set off on a boot. Alfred is controlling it, blasting Nobody into a retreat and forcing him to cause a distraction explosion, giving Batman an opportunity to give Damien control of his body with the special finger poke move, and the two fly away to escape. Just look at that art again. Later on, Damien harasses his dad to teach him the finger poke move while Alfred patches up his recent wounds, ushering in the most heated conversation thus far regarding mutual respect and trust mostly, so Bruce then reveals that Nobody is Morgan Ducard, son of Henry Ducard, a reworked character who originally was created in April 1989's Detective Comics number 599 by Sam Hamm and Dennis Cowan, a skilled manhunter and one of Batman's 6 New 52 trainers, which is an acclaimed list with the likes of Master Assassin David Kane, superheroes Wildcat and Giovanni Satara, and many others among it through past interpretations. Damien storms off, and Bruce gets some more paternal advice from Alfred, who can't help but get a jab in at Aquaman, saying that he rides sea creatures 20,000 leagues under the sea. L-O-friggin-L. Next, Damien is outside calling his dad a stubborn ass to the gravestones of his parents, which is pretty wild, and then he names his dog Titus, a nod to Titus Andronicus, which, if you've read that Shakespeare tragedy along with Damien's comments here, you know why he landed on that name. Nobody then suddenly reveals himself and offers a new direction to Damien, which he seems to accept, showcased by his killing of a firefly, signifying the light in him is going dark. Now that is how you combine art and story to deliver a compelling sequence. Issue number 5 has Bruce first finding what looks to be a goodbye note from Damien in the yard. Then he joins Alfred in his son's room to find some drawings, giving a peek into the boy's mind, and yikes. They're straight out of a serial killer's journal. How could you not see any of this building up? You're the world's greatest detective and had zero idea that he was 2 steps away from being, well, however you want to diagnose this. I don't know and I don't care. Robin and Nobody are out prowling the night, speaking sternly about Batman and what the new future holds, which was quite shocking upon a first read. The two scope out a Ragondian embassy, yet another fictional DC country, to capture an unnamed human trafficker inside, but before they go inside, Nobody cuts Robin's cape off. A good wing clipping analogy. And when inside, all the guards are subdued expertly, and then the target is put at gunpoint with Robin being told to pull the trigger. Oh boy. During that, Batman has set up something called a human kinematic program to help find Damien once he's hijacked every security camera in Gotham through the Bat mainframe. Guy does not mess around. He then beats his way across the streets looking for answers while making a recording about Morgan Ducard's background. His mother was an original character named Felicity Strode, who was hired to kill Henri Ducard since he was a top manhunter wanted dead by many, but instead she fell in love with him. Classic. However, when young Morgan found out about her true past, he kills his own mother. Can a guy have an Electra complex? Anyhow, Henri is disgusted with his son, but nonetheless takes him on as an apprentice until pre-Batman Bruce Wayne shows up asking to be trained by Henri, proving himself first by winning a fight against Morgan. The first step toward a major ego munching. Issue number 6 first involves some of the most insane peer pressure you've ever seen as Nobody demands Robin shoot the Ragondian slave trader. Let's not forget that this is a 10-year-old child. He goes to take the shot, but there's no bullet inside, and he's pissed that nobody is messing with him. I like the mirroring of both Morgan and Batman, one catching a chess piece and now the other one catching a gun, both thrown by Damien. To make up for the lies, Nobody teaches Robin the finger poke move so they can disappear with their hostage. Batman is close behind them now and still recording, speaking on his training days with Henri and Morgan leading up to their separation when a terrorist named Hassan was killed on Bruce's watch, causing him to lash out on Morgan and leave Henri's side, which he can't allow, sicking his son on him. Instead of Morgan introducing a sniper round to Bruce, he ended up meeting a cinder block and Mr. Wayne's fists until nearly dead and then tossed at his dad's feet. Man, that had to suck. Commish Gordon is seen again regarding the night's events, telling Batman personal stuff or not, he has an hour to clean it up. So, back to Robin and Nobody, who snitches on Batman saying that he almost killed him once. A rift is then caused due to different opinions on acid baths, resulting in Robin saying that he was playing Nobody the whole time, even knowing the gun given to him wouldn't fire. Nobody doesn't take this lightly at all, attacking Robin, but not before he set off a tracer Batman is connected to. The confident noises he makes also became a favorite characteristic of his for me. Not so confident at the moment though, as Nobody starts breaking his fingers, which Batman can now hear loud and clear. Issue number 7 wraps up the Nobody story with more torture of Damien being heard by Batman, right up until he crashes into a large boat with, well, I'm not exactly sure what to call that vehicle, but it's one of many awesome concepts for transport in this title. Nobody is shocked by the intrusion, and what ensues next is a great way to lay out an intense, harrowing, and gripping fight scene with dialogue included. Morgan has definitely been seen to have some daddy issues throughout, dressing just like him, picking up a smoking habit, and then becoming jealous when Bruce impeded on the relationship, which Batman calls him on as he receives a lot of stab wounds via push daggers. Some sonic attacks then go off, fire erupts, fists fly, but nobody is taken down for the final time by his old nemesis, who gives his face an acid dunk, nearly killing him until locking eyes with Robin, so he is spared and chained up for Gotham police instead. I wouldn't say he gets the last laugh, however he does end up manipulating Robin into taking his life with the finger poke move turned deadly after some swaying words. Damian's only words while looking on at a stunned Batman: "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned." Yeah, no shit. Issue number 8 is the last one in this book. Batman has no time to discuss Robin's 2 fingers being lodged in nobody's forehead. Instead, they have to vacate the quickly sinking boat of his, with Damian passing out along the way, and some excellent final scene art of Morgan's final appearance. Back at Wayne Manor, Dr. Pennyworth tends to the many wounds of both father and son. Bruce is also seen looking at his family portrait in shame of what he let Damian recently become, a reason I say Morgan may have died with a smirk. The only thing left to do now is he has a heartfelt conversation with Damian explaining his principles in one of the better ways I've ever seen, and his son telling him that he doesn't want to end up a nobody like Morgan said he would. We did get a bit of a hehehe moment when Bruce admits for maybe a second he really thought Damian betrayed him, but now he's not giving up on him as a new day dawns, and of course, that night, the bat signal shines, calling them both back into action. Alright. For a beginning plot that only involved one major thing in Nobody, who was a phenomenal first foe, it still had a lot of noteworthy stuff included. It established the New 52's dynamic duo in a completely new light because for the first time this Robin truly looked to be Batman's equal. The mental dissonance that Damian faces on a day-to-day basis is quite palpable, and seeing Bruce be a father was not something I thought I'd like as much as I did, considering Batman stories with him not being tethered down by anything and meeting up with Bat family members periodically are the ones I like the most. I also liked how there were early references to his past, such as the advice that Henri Ducard gave him in being as dark or darker than your enemies, or when Batman mentions 2 of his New 52 trainers, who would be seen in the Batman solo series backup stories. Now, as for dialogue, there's really only good things to say on it. Writers working on Batman titles obviously had to exchange a lot of script notes in order to get a consistent sounding character, and here he's fascinating and undaunted, which lines up with his New 52 vibe. Damian truly comes off as a hyper-intelligent and exceptionally trained 10-year-old. The minor characters like the R brothers and Henri Ducard add to it all, but it's Morgan who of course adds the most. Through his speech, the reader can actually discern how he knew Bruce was Batman. Guy shows up to ask his dad for training, and then a vigilante in Gotham appears a few years later who won't kill. Yeah. And of course, I can't forget about Mr. Pennyworth. I absolutely love this guy. He has been one of my favorite characters for a long time for Batman's kind of extended family that aren't heroes. Even though he pretty much is one of the New 52, he gets some great scenes throughout, and yeah, I really love him. I've already commented on the art a bunch of times, and that's because it's raw, striking, and detailed. The way the shadows play off the colors chosen, they all land perfect. The best part is the artist team stayed the same throughout, even going on to do the Robin Son of Batman follow-up series, so that was solid. That's going to be all for today, so if you've watched until the end here, I want to personally thank you for that, and to please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media platforms, and to please join me next time for Blue Beetle Vol.1.